Sup dudes, this is the Troxus Lynx 2 Up electric bike, and today we're going to review it. In the first segment of this review, I'm going to show you all the parts up close so you know exactly what you're going to get if you do decide to buy this bike. Then we're going to take it out for an 18-mile test ride out by the beach here in LA. We're going to test it on the sand, and we're going to see what kind of range we have left after 18 miles of riding. Along that ride, we're also going to test it on the 20% hill grade test. We're going to see how this thing does climbing that hill as well as the California incline. We're going to test the brakes. We're going to test a 0 to 20 acceleration with a 200-pound rider. And we're going to see what kind of top speed we can get out of it. You can see the current price of it linked below the video in the description box. And if you do decide to buy it, use that link down there to get the best price and to help support my reviews. But don't buy this thing just yet. Let's review it and see if it's worth buying. So check it out. The first thing we can see, it has gum wall tires. They are name brand Kenda. And here's what the tread on those looks like. Looks like a nice dual sport. Fairly high quality tire. It's got spoke wheels. They're 20 inches tall. At first glance, you might think this is a 4-inch wide tire. It is not. Looking closer at that gum wall, it is a 3.3-inch wide tire. Should give us most of the benefits of a 4-inch tire with a little bit more agility and better fuel efficiency. I'm excited to try this on the sand. And it's also running name brand Tektro brakes. Relatively massive 203mm rotor. A giant rotor on a short wheel gives you a lot of stopping power, depending on how much weight we have on this bike. It's got an owner's manual encouraging you to expand your playground. All the tools we need to build it. Also has a tag saying it is tested by ACT, an accredited laboratory, compliant to 2849. I haven't seen this one yet, but basically some sort of battery safety. And here's what it looks like when you get out of the box. So we can see it does have a rear cargo seat and obviously a rider seat, neither of which have suspension, which helps keep the weight of this bike down. Looking at the rear assembly of this, it actually appears to be very sturdy. It's also got these plastic attached things to help keep things from getting in the spokes. We also have attached passenger pegs, which is always awesome to see. We can also see there is a 203 Tektro brake rotor on the rear, same as on front. Fenders are metal, and I also noticed the seat does not have a quick release adjustment. This does make it a little bit harder for your seat to get stolen, but it also makes it a little more difficult if you want to adjust the height of it. And here on the frame, we can see that same 2849 certification sticker. So it is not the UL certification thing, but honestly, I think the UL certification thing is kind of a racket. These e-bike companies have to pay an absolutely enormous amount of money to get a UL certification. And I feel like these bikes, as long as they're being built to like a proper standard, you really don't need to pay this company called Underwriters Lab like $50,000 to get your bike certified. Really, that's just a cost that's passed on to the consumer. So I don't know, bro. I feel like this is perfectly safe. Let's take a look at the battery though. Got a little bit of Lynx 2 Up branding. So looking at the frame of this bike, we can see it is a step through. This makes it really easy to get on and off the bike, especially with the short 20-inch wheels. Personally, I like this gray paint. It's got like a deep glossy look to it. They do have other colors linked below the video in the description. Also, the battery is frame integrated. You can pop it off with a key. I like that it drops in from the top so you don't have to fight gravity putting in from the bottom or something weird like the side. This is the best way, or well, it's a good way anyway. Taking a look at the battery, we can see it is color matched on the paint for the top. There is actually no markings on this thing whatsoever saying what size the battery is. Doesn't say anything about the cells or anything whatsoever. So let me tell you what I can tell you for sure about this bike. It weighs 8.8 pounds. And pulling up the official website, we can see it is listed as a 48-volt, 15-amp-hour battery pack with 720 watt-hours of energy, and it says Samsung cells are on the inside. It also says it is UL 2771 certified. The charger it comes with is also a Troxus. Here's the connector to the battery. It is a 2-amp charger, so the whole battery would take about 15 divided by 2 hours to charge, 7.5 hours to charge from empty to full. So this is a utility e-bike. We have a couple connector points up here to put a front rack on. It's also got a couple connectors down here for a water bottle. So we can see it has the riser style handlebars, which are personally my favorite for comfort. It's also got this somewhat unique headlight up on the bars. Got to attach the display, pretty minimal assembly. It is a Troxus display. Happy to see we have the matching Tektro hydraulic levers. Feels nice. They are ergonomic rubber grips. We can control the power with a thumb throttle on the left, adjust the pedal assist here. We can see that we will have 8 speeds on the Shimano shifter. Change your gears using these guys. So looking at this, I can see it does have an open dropout. So no through axle on this one. It'll bolt on down. It's easiest to do this with the battery not on there. Also helps if you remember to pull that out. A little curl here. So those just go right on there. So as we've seen, there is no rear suspension on this bike, but there is front suspension. It's a basic front shock, which can be amplified even further by reducing the pressure in the tire, which is pretty low out of the box. When I say basic, you get a preload adjustment on the left. And over on the right, you get a basic open or lock. No adjustments in between. It is a Troxus branded fork. And I like that in addition to the Tektro levers, Tektro rotors, you also get Tektro calipers. So let's talk about the motor, the power, and the pedal assist system. Zooming in on the geared hub motor back here, it is listed as a 750 watt geared hub motor, 48 volt system. Website has it listed as a Ananda 750 watt hub drive motor with 85 newton meters of peak torque. Should be a pretty normal amount of power, considering it shows us the controller is a 22 amp controller. 48 volts on a full charge is 54 volts. So peak power would technically be about 54 times 22. So we should be getting around 1100 watts-ish of peak power. So of course that hub motor works independent from the pedals, so you can add your own power with these guys. And this one does have a switchable torque sensor or cadence sensor. So I mean, obviously you can apply the power with either the throttle or the pedal assist system. So of course on an e-bike with the throttle, pedaling is optional. But if you do decide to pedal, you will be putting your power through this chainring. It's got a double wall guard, and you'll be sending your power back to this 8-speed Shimano cassette. When you change gears, you'll be going through a Shimano Altus derailleur. You get those same exact plastic guards over here to prevent stuff from getting in the spokes, as well as a passenger peg for your right foot. Looks like there's a solid amount of clearance between the two, but if you do have giant shoes, no, I think we'll clear. So the battery weighed in right around 9 pounds. I'm gonna pick this whole bike up and stand on the scale. So picking the bike up with my weight included, 256, including my weight. Today, the number we're gonna be subtracting from that is 191.4. So that bike weighs 64.6 pounds, add 9 pounds. So right around 73-ish. Not bad. Oh, I didn't put the front fender on yet. We're gonna turn it on in just a moment, but first let's drop that battery in there. Peel off the screen protector and power it up with the power button. We can see, we've seen this display before. So Troxus puts their name on there. We get our battery readout, 80%. We can press the I button here and toggle through. Oh, actually that turns on turn signals. So this bike actually does have turn signals on the rear. If you grab the brake lever, it lights up. It actually flashes when you hold the brake lever. If you turn on the headlight, it activates the rear light, which actually is pretty bright. While the rear light is on, if you grab the brake lever, it just starts flashing like that. I like that this one does have the headlight mounted up here, high up. I mean, it's not the brightest headlight I've ever seen, but it does exist. I can see that the screen is a little bit dimmed with the headlight on. If I hold that button and turn it off, gets a bit brighter. And let's tap that power button a couple times. Oh, is that hazard lights? Interesting. I was expecting to maybe see some menus, but you get hazard lights instead. How do you get through the menu? Maybe a quick double tap? Might have to break the manual out, dude. Anyway, you get 5 levels of pedal assist, and there is a way to switch it. Let's hold the I button and see what happens. Oh, that's how you get through your menus. You hold the I button, it'll bring you over to the 4 options here. Wait, what is that one? 22.4. Is that the temperature? I wonder if that is ambient temperature or controller temperature or what. We'll try it out on the ride if I can remember. As mentioned, this bike does not have a quick release for the seat. You'll need one of these to adjust it. You could always swap it out for a quick release. So with the seat on absolute minimum height, it actually goes pretty low. So this bike would probably be suitable for definitely a shorter rider, maybe a taller rider. We'll try it on max in a minute. But I say good for a shorter rider because the shorter 20-inch wheels and also the step-through frame and the seat going down real low makes it real easy to just kind of get on. You don't need to be tall to get on here, as you can see. So yeah, as you can see, my knees come up pretty high with the seat down here, way down low. The seat on minimum is not interfering really. I'm not hitting this other seat back here either. Hey, I could just kind of extend my ride here a little bit, make use of these pegs. Maybe we should try and pop a wheelie and get ourselves into some trouble already. I'm an idiot, dude. Let's see what happens. Oh, we need some air in that rear tire. Let's not pop it. So before we break it, the minimum insertion point for the seat is right about here. So it actually comes up pretty high. One thing that's nice about not having a quick release, once you have it where you want it and you tighten it down, you know it's not gonna slip on you. Sometimes the quick release ones they're a little finicky. Pros and cons, bro. I'm just telling you about the bike. All right, so that's pretty snugged up, as you can see. Okay, so I'm 6'5", inseam 34. If this is the first tail happy video you have ever seen. So getting aboard here, seat comes up to about handlebar height, right about there. And here's my pedal strokes, so you can see I still don't get the proper pedal stroke, you know, if I was gonna really be looking for a workout machine, but it's a utility bike, bro. We're gonna be throttling and just kind of pedal assisting a bit. I can still reach the ground, which is cool. Easy to get on and off. Let's pump these tires up and get it out. But real quick, let's actually just hit this throttle, see what happens. Seems pretty gentle. Also seems like that tire might not be 100% balanced, huh? And one last key piece of information, to switch between torque sensor and cadence sensor, you see this little guy right here? When you have trips selected, all you do is hold the plus button for about 1 second or so. And when that guy disappears, now you're on cadence sensor. So just make sure it's on the trip. Then you can hold that plus button again. And once that little guy comes up, that means you're on torque sensor. I'll tell you about the different modes on the ride. All right, dudes, let's take out the Troxus Lynx 2 up for a ride. See how this thing performs. Then I'll be coming back here and building this bike to take out in a couple days. So of course we're gonna check our official range. Let's roll. So here's what the lights look like in the elevator. Pretty bright, both front and back. So let's give it a rip up the 20% grade. We're gonna do throttle only, pedal assist 5, ready, go. So it's pulling us right on up. Pretty much as expected. These shorter wheels feel a little more torquey compared to tall wheels. I think the official torque number was 85 Newton meters, and it actually feels pretty torquey. So out of the box, throttle will limit you to 20 miles per hour, in which case you have to pedal to go faster than 20. And don't forget, you do have blinkers on the rear. Brakes feel nice out of the box, man. These huge rotors on short wheels. So let's give this thing a 0 to 20 acceleration rip. We'll do throttle only. I weigh 200 pounds, ready, go. So feels pretty torquey actually. 15, 17, and 20. And throttle will cut you off at 20 miles an hour. And let's get a top speed run in with a bit of a tailwind. So we'll do full throttle. I put it on cadence sensor mode, so after we get to 20, we're on pedal assist 5. All we have to do is start rotating our leg just a little bit. Doesn't matter how hard we're pressing on the pedals, it's gonna give us full power, bringing us up to 25, 26, and we're on gear number 8. I can keep up with the pedaling. I don't have to press on the pedals, any actual power, but yeah, it'll get us up to right around 28 miles an hour according to the onboard. My GPS is saying 26 for some reason. Onboard is saying 28. So first impressions on this bike, this thing is kind of geared more for torque than like super high speed. Can't wait to try it on the beach, but first let's try out the power modes. So it is nice that this bike does have either torque sensor or cadence sensor, depending on you know, how you're feeling that day for riding. Cadence sensor is kind of more of the lazy man's riding mode, I would say. So when you're on cadence sensor, it doesn't matter how hard you press on the pedals, you just kind of rotate those pedals a little bit. It's giving us all the juice, man, but we don't want to do that. So let's try put it on pedal assist 1 cadence sensor. Let's see what that does. So that just gives you kind of like a fraction of the power. It feels like it's going to cut us off right around 10 miles an hour. What if we press throttle? Oh, that'll still take us up to 20. So then pedal assist 2 obviously gives you just a bit more of the power, and pretty much as soon as you start pressing on those pedals, it gives you that power. Now we get cut off at about 12 miles an hour. Obviously pedal assist 3, and it'll just kind of keep doing the same thing all the way up till 5. 3 cuts you off at about 15. Again, doesn't matter how hard we're pressing on the pedals on the cadence sensor mode. So basically, you know, if you just want to look like you're pedaling, that's what the cadence sensor mode is for. I like both cadence and torque sensor. We'll try pedal assist 4, probably not on the churn, because that's going to dial power up. Yeah, it dials up quite a bit on 4. And I'm super curious to see if this bike's going to be able to ride on the actual sand. We're going to try here very shortly, because these tires are only 3.3 inches wide with more of what I would call like a street dual sport kind of tread on these tires, which is great for street riding. These things feel nice out here. I kind of like to see, you know, a manufacturer doing something a little bit different than just a standard 4-inch knobbies. You know, you really don't need 4 inches for most riding.
These are going to be a little bit more fuel efficient. I'm just assuming pedal assist 4 on cadence sensor is going to take us up to about, I don't know, fast enough for out here. I mean, we already saw mode number 5 takes us up to 28. So to switch it from cadence sensor to torque sensor, all you got to do is hold down the plus button there for about 2 seconds. Makes that little rider guide disappear. Throttle still works the same, but now you get power in proportion to how hard you press on the pedals, which makes for a more intuitive, natural riding experience. We'll try it on the flat sand here in just a few, but first I always like to see what we could do going up. Okay, nice. So it appears that these tires are going to be wide enough to kind of float over the sand. Pretty torquey motor, no suspension on the rear, so I'm feeling, you know, a lot of the bumps coming up through the back of this bike. Front suspension actually is pretty decent, you know, even though it is only, you know, there's only the lock or feature on it. You don't get like any sort of like micro adjustability. Let's try and pop up this hill here. I'm gonna do throttle only, so. That didn't go as planned. That was actually really steep.
Almost had it.
Almost had it. Actually, I would have had it, but there's a little squirrel there that kind of cut right in front of me. Hey, this is the 2-up. Maybe we should have asked them if they wanted to go for a ride on the back. Yeah, there we go. So you'll have no problem doing a little bit of off-roading. You could always throw that suspension seat post on there if you want. Just a little bit of suspension on the rear, or just chop the PSI in the tires, of course. So in general, riding position on this bike is pretty comfortable. These riser handlebars brings your hands up, like, so you're pretty upright riding position. Even when I have the seat all the way on max. So now that we have it on torque sensor mode, we can put it all the way up to like pedal assist 5, use that throttle just a little bit to get us rolling. But if we start pedaling just a little bit, it's not going to give us like all the power like it did on the cadence sensor. It gives you power in proportion to how hard you're pressing. And as I'm pedaling just really lightly here on pedal assist 5, it's just giving me just a little bit of juice. So it's going to save on the battery. You're probably going to do a lot better on range using the torque sensor option. Also, it's pretty cool that, you know, more and more bikes seem to be having this option where they have either cadence sensor or torque sensor. So if you don't really know what you want, or you want both, if you never tried either, you can buy one of these bikes that have the option to switch between the two. And I mean, it's really not even like one is better than the other. Like sometimes, you know, it just depends on your riding situation. Like if you want to get a workout, the torque sensor, I would say, is the better option. So on pedal assist 5, let's press a little harder on the pedals and this'll dial up the power for sure. And on pedal assist 5, it's pretty eager to give you all that power. Now, obviously, if you want to get more workout, you dial it down to 1, and now you have to press on the pedals a lot harder to get access to that power. Yeah, I'm really weighing into the pedals here on gear number 8, and I'm able to get to about 13 miles an hour. And what is this car about to roll by? That is pretty darn unique. Oh, that's like a modified Corvette, actually, I think. That's not normal lights. That might even be a kit car for all I know. All right, let's put it on pedal assist 2 on torque sensor mode now. So pressing on the pedals, you just don't have to press as hard on the pedals. I feel like the torque sensor on this bike is actually pretty good. I am noticing the motor on this one does make a little bit of noise. It's the Ananda motor. Pretty typical. Geared hub motors just make a little bit of noise, but if I press on that throttle, you'll hear it. I don't know if you can hear it winding up a bit. So, you know, it's not like the quietest motor of all time. I wouldn't say it's noisy, but, you know, there's just a little bit of noise there. So I think it's about time we give this thing a try on the sand. This should be pretty interesting because we're rolling on 3.3 inch wide tires, 750 watt motor, 750 watts of nominal power. I'm gonna put it down to gear number 1. So let's give it a go, full throttle. I'm gonna put it down to like gear number 1 in case I need to pedal a bit, and we'll pop out right about here. So 3.3 inch wide tires are enough. I can feel, actually they're kind of sinking in a bit. We're kind of running out of juice on the soft sand. These probably just aren't like the ideal tread tires, and you might need a little more width, and honestly probably just a little bit more power would help it. Now riding in soft sand obviously is pretty much the harshest conditions. Obviously you could just get off the bike and kind of throttle it if you really need to get out to the water. So obviously if you want the best sand bike, you want a dual motor e-bike likely, and probably some knobby tread on those tires. But if you just need to go for a short little burst through the sand, let's see if we can get through this quick little stretch here. So yeah, it's losing steam, but yeah, you can get through it. Front shock is fine. It's got a good amount of travel on there, so if you need to hop some curbs and stuff, it'll give you insulation for the rider. Now the passenger back there, you're gonna be bouncing around quite a bit with no suspension, but you can always drop the PSI in that rear tire to kind of use the tire as suspension. Now, you probably don't want to drop that down too low. Once you get down below about 7 or 8 PSI, that's the point you're going to start seeing a chance for a pinch flat. You know, if you hop off a curb or something, the rim can pinch the inner tube, give you a flat. And also if you put the PSI too low in that tire, you're just gonna get horrible MPGs on your lithium ion. So here is the California Incline 12% grade, 85-foot climb. It's about our halfway point of this ride. So the battery is currently reading 70% after about 9 miles into this ride. Yeah, 9 miles almost. So let's see how it handles this little spiral section here. It is a pretty torquey bike. These shorter wheels, they always feel a little more torquey compared to tall wheels, and this is obviously just pulling this up absolutely no problem. I'm just kind of laying on the throttle, having no problem controlling the direction of this bike. I just pull the brake lever there, which cuts power to your motor. And as I mentioned, the brakes on this thing feel good. We're gonna put them to real test here in a minute. So starting here at the base of the California Incline. Throw our back tire against that wall and full throttle it, baby. So throttle should take us up to 20. I think we'll hit it. We're doing 11. And pulling 15 miles an hour. By the time we get to this little grate section here, hitting 17. So pretty typical performance for, you know, a 750 watt nominal fat tire bike. So we're hitting 19 now. At this point, I do have it on the torque sensor, which means it's gonna give me power in proportion to how hard I press on the pedals. So I'm helping it a bit here. I'm helping, you know, I'm pressing a decent amount here. Yeah, it's just pulling right around 20-ish, which is pretty typical for a bike of this, you know, specs. So throttle cuts us off at 20, going down the California Incline. I'll just put in a bit of power on my own. So I love that this bike has giant rotors on these short wheels. Not a super heavy e-bike, but it is designed to carry 2 passengers. So it's really great that they have such a good stopping system on this bike. Let's give it a pull of the levers. It's been a minute since I've went that aggressively at that wall, but that just kind of goes to show the confidence I have in the stopping power of these Tektro hydraulics. They feel great, man. These brakes, whoa, they're coming for us, bro. They're coming. Let's get out of here, bro. So they are cracking down on e-bikes. Look at this dude cooking on the unicycle. No helmet. Yeah, dude's freaking flying, man. What if he had a little bit of sand? So we're gonna give it a stop test for about 20 miles an hour here, full throttle. And I'm gonna pull on the brakes right about now. Yeah, these brakes are real good, dude. And I just switched it over to cadence sensor so we can easily get up to top speed. And we'll pull on the brakes from pretty much max speed of this bike. We're going about 25 and yeah, you're gonna be good at these brakes, dude. Just don't pull that front lever too hard and send yourself over the handlebars. But the big brakes is awesome because, sorry, I'm getting distracted by that cop over there watching. The big brakes are awesome because when you add more weight on the bike, you're gonna really benefit from that bigger brake system. But if you're riding a single passenger, you're gonna get some real good stopping power. Oh, there goes the police. Better behave ourselves. So we're gonna head on home, check the final range on this thing. I'll share my final thoughts on the Lynx 2-Up e-bike from Troxus on the way. So current list price on this one is $2,199 in the link below this video. If you do decide to buy this bike, click on that link, buy through that link down there. It would help support my reviews and I greatly appreciate your support. Might have a little discount code down there also to help save you some money on your order. So what are my final thoughts on this bike? I mean, it's, you know, pretty typical average feeling cargo style electric bike. As I was just saying, I really like that it has the big brakes on it, you know, especially since it's designed for 2 riders. Payload capacity on this one is 360 pounds. So you actually can't, you know, if you just look at the construction of this bike, you can tell it actually is a pretty rigid frame, especially on the rear. You know, it rides nice, man. It's a nice riding bike. I really like that it has the torque sensor and cadence sensor. We'll see where we end up on range. Like I mentioned, you know, it doesn't have like the hugest battery, but that gives you a lot more, it gives you like a better riding experience because you're not carrying around a ton of weight. But you know, if you're looking for a super huge range electric bike and you also want to go fast, this one might not, you know, fully meet the requirements of, you know, being a speed demon and getting huge range with 48 volt, 15 amp hour, but, you know, it's a more manageable ride. Or, I mean, it's a nimbly feeling bike. However, those 3.3 inch wide tires with more of a street tread can help optimize your range. Dude's cooking pretty good on that thing. But I mean, dude, it's a pretty torquey feeling bike and gets up to 28 miles an hour. So, you know, pretty typical on the power and the range and all that. And ride's nice. Really no complaints about this one, man. I like it. It's not the cheapest electric bike, but it's good, man. It's got Samsung cells in the battery. So, you know, battery should last quite a large number of charge cycles. It's not some no-name knockoff cells in the battery like some of these e-bikes are. Man, that dude is just ripping out here on that unicycle with no regards to safety at all. So I mean, that's pretty much my final thoughts on it. Let's see where we end up on range. My God, look at this monster truck. The sign says, pick up the headphones if you can sing.
All right, great. Let's do one more.
All right, an angel, right?
I was stunned. I was like, wow, of course.
Pretty cool. Looks like the police are out here having a little interaction here. Open containers of alcohol going on.
Write me a ticket, I'm still gonna get it. I'm not worried about it. I ain't gonna pay it. Gonna go to collection. It don't bother me. It don't scare me at all.
Don't worry about the ticket. He's not paying it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, we got lucky pulling up. Right next to us is a Ferrari. I don't even know what that is, honestly. Is that a 488 GTB, possibly? Oh, it says FH Spider on the dash. Maybe he'll give us a bit of a rip. Give it a rip. Oh, weak sauce. So in case you're new here, you might not know, I basically just floored all the way home. We're holding about 27. I'm not pedaling. I have the cadence sensor on. All right, dude, just finishing up the route. Let's see how many miles we did. So it shows 17.3 miles, average speed just under 12 miles an hour, did an hour, 28 minutes ride time. And the battery is showing 41% remaining after that ride. So per usual, I really did not pedal this bike much to help it. Just kind of tried the torque sensor, relied on the throttle. Nothing unusual about the amount of range we're getting out of this bike whatsoever. You know, on this one, I could probably get a healthy 30 to 40 miles out of it, depending on how crazy I am going on the throttle. So pretty cool little cargo utility style electric bike designed for two people. If you do want to grab one of these, use that link down below the video. Buy through that link. It'll give you the best price and also help support my reviews here on Tail Happy TV, and I greatly appreciate your support, bro. However, if this is not the kind of electric bike for you, check this video out, dude. Catch you over there.